If your house feels smaller and smaller every month, you're not imagining it, and no, the walls aren't actually moving in, even though it kind of feels like they are, and nothing changed on paper. There's the same square footage, same layout, same payment, but somehow everything feels tighter, louder, busier, and way more chaotic. Way more noise, less quiet, more stuff, less space, more people needing things at the exact same time. What used to feel cozy now feels crowded, and what used to feel manageable now feels like you're constantly one inconvenience away from losing it over something incredibly small, like stepping on the same toy for the third time this morning. One day you realize that there's nowhere to take a call without whispering like you're in a library. And there's nowhere to decompress without someone asking you a question. There's no room that actually does just one thing anymore, and every space has a side hustle. Your kitchen is also an office, and your office doubles as a playroom. Your bedroom apparently is everyone's meeting room. So you adjust, you work around it, you tell yourself that this is totally normal. You tell yourself that this is just part of life and how it is now, part of being busy and part of being responsible. But deep down, you know what's happening. Life is asking more from your home than it can give right now. And in this video, I'm going to break down why homes start to feel smaller over time, what that feeling is actually telling you, and how families can think about upgrading without rushing, panicking, or blowing everything up. And if you're planning a move soon and would like my help, please text the number in the description of this video. Hey guys, I get it. Waiting feels responsible. You're busy, life is full, and the house technically works. You own it, you're building equity, on paper, everything looks fine. So that's exactly what you tell yourself. You're being practical. But what's really happening is you're normalizing all of the friction you're experiencing. You're normalizing stepping over toys, normalizing arguing over quiet space, and normalizing feeling like you never quite have enough space. This is because the discomfort builds gradually. It doesn't trigger urgency right away. It feels manageable until it isn't. The longer you wait, the more stress gets attached to the idea of moving, and that's where things start to spiral. Sorry to break it to you, waiting doesn't delay the move, it just amplifies all the pressure. When families wait too long to upgrade the house, it becomes about escape instead of improvement. Now all of a sudden becomes urgent, it has to solve everything. Now every showing feels like it carries a massive weight. Instead of calmly evaluating options, families start searching desperately for relief. And that emotional intensity makes the process feel way heavier than it ever needs to be. Families try to chase a perfect house because they feel way behind. They try to time everything perfectly because they feel all the pressure. And when perfection becomes the goal, nothing feels safe enough or worthwhile. And that's typically when people freeze or compromise too much or feel major regret. Not because upgrading is chaotic, but because they've waited until they were emotionally too drained to begin with. And the biggest tip is starting doesn't mean committing tomorrow, it just means giving yourself space. Space to understand what your current home is worth, space to see what's realistic in your price range, and space to think through the different timing scenarios without panicking yourself. When families begin the conversation early, everything slows down in a good way. There's room to evaluate, room to adjust, and room to decide for your family calmly. And calm decisions almost always lead to better outcomes. And the move becomes something that you're actually choosing, not just something that you're running from and escaping. And most families don't realize they're making this mistake while it's happening, and it looks totally harmless, but like joking about how cramped the house is. It looks like promising you'll deal with it next year, and it looks like laughing about the chaos while secretly you're crying inside and feeling drained by it. But by the time frustration turns into burnout, the timeline has already tightened. Now school schedules matter more, job pressure is higher, and energy is lower than ever. And suddenly the move feels urgent instead of intentional. And that urgency is what creates a ton of stress and not the upgrade itself. A lot of homeowners think there's going to be a huge breaking point, a big moment when they just know it's time, but that moment rarely shows up in reality. Instead, it's subtle. It's the accumulation of small daily friction. And by the time you actually might know, it's because patience is totally out the window and tolerance is lower than ever. The best time to think about upgrading isn't when you're desperate, it's when you're aware of what's going on and you can actually plan forward. As they say, awareness is quiet, desperation is loud. And waiting for the loud version of anything almost always makes the process harder. Families who do upgrade smoothly don't avoid stress entirely, they are able to avoid panic. They start exploring early, they get clarity before they need it, and they understand their options without committing to anything immediately. And that knowledge shifts everything. Instead of feeling trapped, they feel informed. Instead of reacting, they're evaluating, and instead of scrambling all over the place, they're able to plan it out. And when you're planning, you have leverage, and leverage is all the difference. Everyone needs to upgrade immediately. Some families truly benefit from waiting. Maybe flexibility matters more right now for some people. Maybe there's a transition coming, and maybe the current house still works for the next season or two, but the key is intention and knowing what your plans are. Waiting from clarity feels calm. Waiting from avoidance feels stressful and picks at you every second of the day. If you understand your option and are choosing to wait, that's powerful. But if you're waiting because you're overwhelmed, that's when the mistakes compound. The number one mistake growing families make when upgrading their home isn't financial. It's waiting until the house already is draining them before they start planning. Your home should support your life, not make it harder. And recognizing that early on doesn't mean you're rushing, it means you're being thoughtful. If you're in Southern California and your house feels tighter than it used to, or maybe you're wondering whether upgrading even makes sense for your family right now, now in this next chapter, I'm happy to help you think you through it. And if you're planning on a move soon and would like my help making that happen, please text the number in the description below. Because the best upgrades don't happen out of panic, they happen with clarity.